The headlines looked ordinary. The stories appeared routine. But beneath the surface, an invisible hand was shaping reality. While Americans went about their days, listening to the radio, reading newspapers, and watching television, few realized that the very information they trusted was being manipulated. The Cold War was not only fought with missiles and spies, it was waged in minds, perceptions, and public opinion. This is the story of Operation Mockingbird, the CIA's secret program to influence media outlets across the United States and around the world. The operation was designed to control narratives, guide public perception, and ensure that intelligence objectives aligned with what citizens saw, read, and heard. In this video, we are going to explore how journalists became instruments, how information was weaponized, and how the line between truth and propaganda disappeared. So, let's start. In the late 1940s, the world had shifted. The Second World War was over, but a new threat emerged. The Soviet Union. Ideologies clashed, tensions rose, and America feared that communism would infiltrate not only governments abroad, but the hearts and minds of its own citizens. The CIA, newly established in 1947, was tasked with protecting the nation, but its definition of protection quickly expanded. Winning the Cold War meant controlling not just territory or resources, but perception itself. The agency began establishing relationships with journalists, editors, and media executives. Some were willing collaborators. Others were recruited quietly, often unaware of the CIA's influence, through newspapers, magazines, radio, and eventually television. Stories could be shaped to promote pro-American narratives, discredit Soviet influence, and manipulate public sentiment. Money, favors, and access to information were used as leverage. The goal was audacious. Control what the public believed without anyone noticing. Operation Mockingbird extended far beyond U.S. borders. In Europe, Asia, and Latin America, intelligence officers worked to guide coverage in newspapers, news agencias, and broadcast networks. Anti-communist messaging was amplified, pro-Soviet movements were undermined, and events were reported in ways that aligned with American interests. In some cases, the line between independent journalism and state-sponsored propaganda was erased entirely. The scope of the operation was staggering. By the early 1950s, hundreds of journalists were connected to the program. Some knew they were cooperating with intelligence. Others thought they were merely sharing stories or sources. The CIA funneled information, suggested angles, and even provided pre-written content. Ordinary citizens who trusted the media remained unaware that much of what they consumed was carefully curated to shape opinion. Every headline, every story, and even cultural coverage carried hidden intentions. Tactics were subtle, precise, and at times invasive. Agents planted rumors to discredit activists. Meetings and rallies were observed. Cultural output from theater to television was monitored and sometimes guided. The operation ran quietly for decades, classified at the highest levels, hidden behind bureaucratic codes, and the illusion of journalistic independence. Its effectiveness depended on its invisibility. The public could not know that the news they trusted was often a product of intelligence strategy. The ethical implications were profound. Operation Mockingbird blurred the boundary between national security and manipulation of a democratic society. Citizens relied on a press they believed to be free, unaware that some stories were influenced by covert agendas. The program illustrated a disturbing truth. Information can be as powerful a weapon as any bomb or missile, and when wielded in secret, it can alter the course of society without a single person realizing it. During the 1960s and 1970s, the operation played a key role in framing public narratives on major events. From the civil rights movement to anti-Vietnam War protests, the CIA monitored, influenced, and subtly redirected coverage to align with strategic objectives. Internationally, they shaped reporting on conflicts, governments, and political movements, subtly turning media outlets into instruments of influence. Newspapers, magazines, and broadcast networks became extensions of a secret intelligence campaign. Secrecy was the lifeblood of Operation Mockingbird. The CIA went to great lengths to conceal the program. Connections with journalists were classified. Funding was routed through foundations and cultural organizations to avoid scrutiny. Exposure could provoke scandal, damage credibility, and undermine the very goals of the operation. Yet, the mission persisted, shaping perceptions silently and relentlessly. The first cracks appeared in the 1970s. Investigations by the Church Committee revealed CIA ties to major media organizations, funding channels, and journalist recruitment. The revelations shocked the public. An agency tasked with protecting the nation had been manipulating information for decades, often without the knowledge or consent of the American people. Operation Mockingbird became a symbol of intelligence overreach and the dangers of unchecked secrecy. Despite the scandals, the lessons of the operation endure. The CIA demonstrated that controlling narratives can be more effective than controlling territory. Words, headlines, and images can influence decisions, shape policies, and guide public opinion. Operation Mockingbird proved that the battle for influence can be fought without a single shot fired, but with consequences just as powerful. Even today, the story resonates. In a world dominated by digital media, social platforms, and 24-hour news cycles, influence is everywhere, often invisible. Operation Mockingbird reminds us that narratives can be shaped without our knowledge, and perception can be a battlefield in itself. Information is a weapon, and history shows that controlling it can alter societies in profound ways. The program also raises difficult questions. How free is a press when its narratives can be guided by unseen forces? How often are citizens influenced by stories crafted not for truth, but for strategic objectives? Operation Mockingbird illustrates the delicate balance between security, power, and ethics, and the risks when that balance tips too far toward control. The legacy of Operation Mockingbird is a cautionary tale. Intelligence can safeguard nations, but secrecy can erode trust. Information can protect, but it can also manipulate. The operation serves as a reminder that even in democratic societies, control over what people believe can be as decisive as control over armies or weapons. The greatest battles, history shows, are often fought not in the open, but in the shadows of perception. And still, questions linger. How many stories, past and present, are influenced by invisible hands? How often do narratives shape reality without the public's awareness? Operation Mockingbird is a reminder that history is written not only in wars and treaties, but in headlines, stories, and the subtle power of information wielded in silence.